Right, frontal blessings. We are back with a new video. All right, before I begin, a couple quick announcements. 2024 yearly forecast readings are happening now. It's extremely busy, and I do not exaggerate when I say that. Extremely busy. I'm packed up to the yin-yang, which is not a bad thing, but very busy. So if you want to book your 2024 yearly forecast reading, it's happening now, pretty much until first week in February, roughly around that time. And it's basically what it is, a forecast of a month-by-month 2024 yearly forecast, and what to expect, for your upcoming 2024 year. To see what the gods, goddesses, spirits, and demons got in store for you. So if you want to book that reading, shoot me an email. Also, if you're interested in any other type of reading I offer, telepathic demonic reading, Santa Muerte reading, shadow work reading, a deity reading, Egyptian oracle reading, just shoot me an email for a full list of the different readings that I do offer, and I'll send you information on how to book a spiritual reading or a consultation. Please include days and times you're available, and most importantly, please include your time zone. Very important in booking and managing time. If you're interested in signing up for classes, the way to do that is to go to the official Primordial Chaos Patreon page at patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti, tier 3. That's the tier you want to join to get in on the classes. That gives you access to the 3 private classes I do every month on Patreon, in addition to the group ritual we do at the end of the month. Also, it gives you access not just classes from the day you join moving forward. It gives you access to everything that's in the archives, okay? Which is going back over 3 years. The monthly group rituals, everything is archived and categorized in the collection section. All the ongoing series of classes that we have ongoing. Telepathic sorcery and magic, Luciferian magic and self-mastery, shadow work classes, ancient Egyptian vampiric class, Sith dark side alchemy and philosophy class, esoterical occult Bible study class, Eastern occult left-hand path class, Norse left-hand path mythology and runes class, which that last class we did was real good, and other classes. These are constantly ongoing. Necromancy and dark witchcraft class, which is one of the newest ones we added. But all these are ongoing classes. They're all archived. They all have all the ritual work. And as I said before, on YouTube, we go much more. We go much more in depth on Patreon than we do YouTube, and that's why the Patreon page is set up for those that want to take their, path to self-mastery to that next level. So that's patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti, tier 3. That's the tier you want to join. All right. Don't forget to check out the Primordial Chaos podcast, available on Spotify and all major podcast platforms. You can now listen to all this new content in audio format. Listen to it while you're just hanging around the house, driving in the car, exercising, walking in the park, whatever. Now you can listen to this all in audio file format. Also, check out Primordial Chaos on Facebook, 2 words. I also upload all the new content to the Facebook page. Check us out on Instagram, 1 word, Primordial Chaos 9. That's the Instagram feed. You can also keep up to par everything that we're doing here on the channel. I post all the classes, events, anything that we're doing. That's the best way, in addition to right here in the community section on the YouTube page. All right. October 2024, 7th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference. Look for more information to come that as we get into next year. But mark your calendars, October, at the end of October 2024. We're going 7 years strong doing that. All right. I think that pretty much covers all the announcements. Oh, also, you probably saw I posted here in the community section on YouTube, on the Instagram and Facebook. We have a special guest live right here on Primordial Chaos YouTube this coming Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have Crow Priestess will be in the building talking about Reiki, or Reiki, depending on how you pronounce it. I pronounce it Reiki. I might be butchering that. Everybody knows what Reiki healing is. She's going to be talking about different aspects of spiritual healing. We're going to talk about metaphysics, the occult. It's going to be a good show. I think this is an area of topic we need to address. A lot of people got to work on them grounding, cleansing, and healing aspects, which I think is very important. So definitely, if I was you, I would tune in if you can this Friday night, 8 p.m. live. We will open the floor for questions if you want to ask Crow Priestess some questions after we're done talking and doing the interview portion of the show. So that's this Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on Primordial Chaos YouTube channel. It'll also be streaming on the Instagram page, and it'll also be streaming on the Facebook page, all right? So look forward to seeing you guys there live on YouTube this Friday night. All right, you see the topic. I'm not going to be too long-winded with this. All right. Understanding the neocortex portion of your brain and the reptilian portion of your brain. Very important. Something I've been talking about for years. Something I'm going to try to piece together because, as I said, if you pay attention to a lot of the things that I'm talking about, there's a method to my madness. There's a reason why I'm bringing them out. You always hear me talking about being a critical thinker on this path. There's a reason why I say that, and I'm going to explain it a little more in depth. All right, the importance of being a critical thinker on this path. To be a magician, an occultist, a left-hand path practitioner, it is essential. It is not an option. It is not sometimes you should be, occasionally. You must be a critical thinker always on the left-hand path in the occult. It's what we do. Okay. All right. So, as I've told you before, the importance of your chakras or your energy centers, right, in conjunction with the reptilian aspect of our brain. As I told you, a lot of people will talk about the 7 major energy centers / chakras. When I'm saying energy centers, you know what I'm talking about. Everybody knows about the most known 7, right? As I said, some will talk about 9, and really on the occult and left-hand path, especially in draconian magic, there's actually 11. One of them is called the dark star chakra, right? As I said, your reptilian portion of your brain, right? And as I said, those 10th and 11th chakra, they are not connected to you physically. That's more or less dealing with the etheric aspect of yourself, or how you tap in to your subjective consciousness, have your spiritual visions. The part of that happens with the hippocampus aspect of your brain, but it goes even deeper when you start to travel astral gates or through the astral realms. But that's not really what I want to talk about. I want to focus first on understanding the difference and the importance of the reptilian brain and what they call the neocortex portion of your brain. Okay? And you'll understand now why I'm so always pushing being a critical thinker for years now. Okay? And here's why. First of all, understand that your reptilian part of your brain is where you get all your natural instincts to survive. It's the oldest or the most ancient part of what makes up a being's brain, right? It's where you, again, your natural instincts kick in to do whatever it is you need to do, especially survival mode, right? And this is why it's called the reptilian aspect of your brain for a multitude of reasons, because of what they associate with what we're calling, quote unquote, reptilian. Now, we know there's a group of beings or species that they label reptilian of extraterrestrial origin that they sometimes say are very malevolent or aggressive in nature. And I don't think it's a coincidence that they call the oldest part of your brain the reptilian aspect of your brain. And as we know, we all, to an extent, are water creatures, because as I've said many times over the years, you swam in a sack of water. Pay attention to the number for 9 months. The number 9 is critical and it's important, okay? So you swam in water for 9 months, right? You are naturally an aquatic being. You live on a planet that is, close to 70% water? The air you breathe has H2O in it, okay? Water, H2O, okay? So by nature, all of us have that aspect in us to some degree. And this reptilian portion of your brain, as I said before, is linked into your natural instincts, your reactionary instincts, your survival instincts. Anything that you do that you kick into gear, that's just a natural reactionary instinct, comes from the reptilian part of your brain. Now, having said that, that's a good and a bad thing. Okay? Let's talk about that before we get to the neocortex of the brain. Okay? Now, the problem with that, the bad side of that is, one, well, let's talk first the good side of that. That's the aggressive part of your nature you do need to tap into at times, especially when you're in danger. Not just when you're in danger, but sometimes you need that quick-witted response or that aggressive response, whether you're going into a mode to defend or protect yourself. And I'm not just talking about physically. It could be mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and also physically. But when we have to kick into that mode, that's what gives us that ability and power to do it, especially when we're in danger. That's the upside. The downside to it is when you're not in control of your emotions. You can't control your anger, your rage, your energy, your passion, which one thing we do with that on this path is we don't try to completely suppress it. We learn how to harness that energy, or the power and the vibrational frequency of the energy from those emotions, and we try to channel it in proper avenues and directions. But when you don't have control over that, or you're completely out of character when it comes to controlling your emotions, and you get devoured by your emotions because you can't contain your anger or your temper or your rage, that's when it can be seriously destructive, self-destructive to your character. So it's about understanding both of these aspects, the reptilian aspect of your brain and the neocortex aspect of your brain. So that's the ups. And again, this is going to be a quick tutorial, right? There's more, but I just want to give you the general understanding. You could explore this further. So that's the up and down side, okay, to that ancient part of your brain called the reptilian part of your brain. But we all have it. It also connects to what we call the beast that lies within. We all have that dark side of our nature, that aggressive side of our nature. That's where you get it from, people. See, they don't want to tell you this shit because they want to just paint this picture that you're supposed to be an obedient servant and suppress your true nature and who you really are. And that's not what it's supposed to be. Because even in their Bible, it refers to Behemoth as the beast of the field in the book of Genesis. It refers to it, even in their holy books. Don't really tell you who that beast of the field is, but we know what it's talking about. Okay, so you must, and this is going to help you understand when we talk about harmonizing the light and darkness within, because you are a combination of both of those type of entities. That's the reality of this shit. Again, they don't want to tell you this because they're either teaching you to be one or the other extreme, and most of the time it's to be this very loyal, obedient servant and meditate away all the weak aspects of your character, pray it away, but that just doesn't work. It doesn't happen. Because what you are by nature will rise to the surface. You can't suppress that. You have to learn how to channel it, harness it, and use that power and energy and facilitate it correctly. That's the important thing. Now, the neocortex portion of your brain, right? Neocortex portion of your brain. This represents your higher self. Right? This is the portion of your brain where you get your critical thinking skills. Right? This is where the activation of reasoning comes in. This is where the activation of when your psyche is open and you're able to absorb knowledge and information and intellect correctly and apply it. Right? This is when you're able to analyze things and do a critical analyzation of things and make key choices and decisions, and basically absorb all aspects of consciousness. This also happens, you tap into the power of the neocortex aspect of your brain when you raise that Kundalini energy. And we know that Kundalini energy, as they say, taps into the serpent energy. It's a serpent that, when we do our Kundalini meditations on Patreon, what do? We talk about visualize a coiled serpent at the base of your root chakra. Right? And visualize that coming up from the root chakra all the way to the crown. Right? And there's a reason why we say that. Or we focus on that serpent energy. Because from the root to the crown represents all your stages of growth and intellect. And when all those energy centers are activated, this is when you're really functioning and tapping into the power of the neocortex portion of your brain. Okay? Now we know the pineal gland, when open, receives an X amount of light. And we're not just talking about physical light, we're talking about vibrational frequency through the levels of consciousness that you absorb. Right? That's what it talks about, the decalcification of what they call the pineal gland. Right? By altering the vibrational frequency, whether you want to call it using the concepts of alchemy, but this is important. So I'm trying to give you the spiritual science of how you realign yourself with the natural vibrational frequency, one, of your tone, two, to reconnect you with nature and science, and to unlock what we call the personal daemon, or the God within. It's work. But when you understand, now the neocortex is a much younger, as far as development portion of your brain, that development process comes after what we're talking about, the reptilian aspect of your brain. But this is important to understand, because the power, when you really are tapped into the power of the neocortex portion of your brain, this is where you get your reasoning, your thinking skills, your critical skills, your visualization skills. This is how you open up and activate those energy centers and raise the kundalini, or the serpent energy. Now, if you also remember, and I talked about this a while back, it might even been on one of the very early YouTube videos going years back, okay? If you remember when the first Matrix movies came out, which I believe was late 90s, early 2000s, I can't remember, I believe it was late 90s. Remember, the character that Keanu Reeves plays, he's called Neo, right? Nobody ever asks. And I think it might have been David Icke that had it in one of his books. He broke it down. I remember, but I used to talk about it. And the character that he plays in the Matrix movies, as you know, is called Neo, because the neocortex portion of the brain. Why Neo? Because remember, when you are tapped into the power of the neocortex aspect of your brain, it activates what we call on this path the higher or true self, the personal daemon. And you've now removed all the illusionary aspects of yourself, and you see things for what they are, and you see who for you really are, not who you thought you were. So that's what really that character represents, because remember, he taps into his true higher self. He shows you the journey of how he removes all the illusionary or false aspects of who he is, and he starts to ascend, right? Ascend or grow in consciousness or knowledge. And then he's able to break what they call the matriarchal system, or the matrix field that's put around all of us to create the illusionary world that they try to program with us to see, hear, and view. So they give him that name, Neo, really, which is trying to tap into that neocortex portion of your brain. But what I've been saying for years now, and I'm trying to give you a little more depth and explanation of it, this is why I've been saying for years the importance of you being a critical thinker on this path. That's why I was saying it. Okay? You must analyze everything. That's why you hear me say things like, there's a difference between people who read and people who study. There's a difference between people who have knowledge and apply knowledge. That's why I just did a video not too long ago, a couple days back or last week. Knowledge learned is knowledge applied. You can't apply the knowledge if you don't tap into the power of the neocortex portion of your brain and use those critical thinking skills. Remember, knowledge learned is knowledge applied. If you ain't applying the knowledge, you ain't learned shit. You just read something. You just recalled something, remembered something, regurgitated something. That's why I say it, people. There's a method to my madness. That's why I drill home with this constantly in many different ways and methods to see it, because I know not everybody's going to get it from the same perspective. So I got to come at you in different angles. I got to try to wake you up in different methods so maybe you see it. Maybe you didn't get it from one method I was saying it, but then you go, oh, I see what he's saying now. That makes sense. Okay? You must be a critical thinker on this path. It's not an option. It's not sometimes. It's not occasionally. It's not when you feel like. At all times. Understand. This also is the deeper explanation of when I talk about being a reactionary being and a proactive being. A reactionary being is when you have no control of the reptilian aspect of your brain. When you just tap into those raw emotions and are pure reactionary. That's what I mean when I say that's not good to be that, excuse me, type of reactionary being. But when you are a proactive being, you are tapping in to the neocortex aspect of your brain, and you're using your critical thinking skills. You're reasoning things out. You're comparing, you're analyzing. You're getting all the data before you make that critical key decisions. That's what I'm talking about, people. So ask yourself, like the character in Matrix, are you Neo or were you Neo before he became Neo? Ask yourself that. Coming on the left-hand path in the occult, you're walking. You are walking the path that the great ascended masters walked before you, and it's work. It's a journey. It's a journey of enlightenment, upliftment, and spiritual gnosis. Or the only way you're going to uncover the hidden gnosis of yourself is by tapping in to that neocortex aspect of your brain and activating those critical thinking skills. All right? So I just wanted to throw that out there. I don't want to be too long-winded with this. Got a lot to do this evening. I just wanted to share that, get a video out there for you guys today. Other than that, if you need to reach out to me for a spiritual consultation or a 2024 yearly forecast reading or any reading, shoot me an email, khnum19@gmail.com. Again, if you want to sign up for classes, go to the patreon.com/Baniti, Baniti. That is the official Primordial Chaos Patreon page. That's how you get in on all the classes that I'm doing, 3 every month, along with one group ritual. Next month, for those on Patreon, and it'll be all tiers, will be welcomed. I will be doing a end of the year class, what to expect for 2024. I will be doing some quick on the spot readings right there live for whatever the spirits come through. I'm just gonna randomly select people, and I'm gonna just do some live quick on the spot readings for some of you that are there, that are on Patreon. That'll be somewhere in mid-December. I'm gonna put that date up soon. That'll be the only event in the month of December. As you know, we don't do any ritual work. I don't do the 3 classes. We take a break for the holidays through New Year's Day, and then we get right back at it hard early January. But if you need to, again, all the information, the link to the Primordial Chaos podcast, my contact email address, the social media pages, Primordial Chaos 9, one word on Instagram, Primordial Chaos 2 words on Facebook, the direct link to the Primordial Chaos Patreon page. All that information is in the description box of this video that you're watching right now. All right, man, I appreciate you guys' time. I'll probably get some more videos out this week. We got the live this Friday with Crow Priestess, who will join us live on Primordial Chaos YouTube, Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Infernal blessings. We'll talk soon.